This video will discuss the Ritzytown water projects. This is another software package by Multimedia Science, and it's an interactive learning experience on the basics of acids and bases. This is a comprehensive coverage of acids and bases. You can see there are 4 different units that are covered, and there is a final project which weaves all of these things together. There are directions, introduction, project introduction, and so on. Just going to go through some of the aspects since this is quite a large package. You could use this in front of the classroom as a lecture aid with a projector or a smartboard. You could have students work with this individually, going through the tutorials and then working on the project at their own pace with you as facilitator. The package includes tutorials, simulations, games, practice problems, quizzes, and of course the final project. Let's start by taking a look at part of Unit 1. It's broken down into definitions of acid and base and self-ionization of water, and then there's quiz. Let's look at the self-ionization of water. So this is designed to give students a up-close view of exactly what happens that leads to acid and base behavior. So this little demonstration makes the case of how few molecules are actually break down into H plus and OH minus ions. There are often little questions that you can ask to see whether the students understand what's going on, and then of course there's the answer. A little bit of simulation here to help describe where the equilibrium constant or the ion product comes from. Again, quick question. Description of the ion product. So that's the sort of thing that the kind of tutorial that you'll see. Let's look at Unit A. Properties of water solutions. And here students are going to have to figure out for each of the 5 liquids what are these various properties. So they'll click on the liquid and then they go to the liquid testing lab where they get to
nothing out of the ordinary.
Try a lot of different physical tests.
That's sour.
So then when they're done, they will test all these 5 liquids and fill in all of the properties. And then they will answer some questions based on some of the tests from the so hopefully they'll figure out the answers. And then there's a quiz that's similar that goes through their understanding of the properties of water solutions. There's neutralization and titration, where it goes through the tutorial on these, and then there will be a lab where you place the solution, you add the phenolphthalein, then you need to make sure that you close the stopcock so that the solution does not the known acid or known base, and then you will slowly until you get the solution to change color, and then by taking a measurement you will get to type in the correct answer. And so it looks like that we are more than 2 milliliters off from the correct answers. So we needed to get the volume that was added. So this is just running students through how to do a titration, and then there is a section where they have to calculate out the concentration of the acid based on those results, and the quiz. Here we have the discussion on the pH of a solution, and a little simulation to show that as the H ions go up, the OH ions have to go down. And then it runs through students through the pH scale. There's a little game where students have to guess exactly what the pH of various substances are, and then it tells them whether or not they are correct. Let's see, that's eggs. I imagine the pH is probably pretty close to 5. Let's see if we're not quite. Maybe a little bit, 7, I'm sorry. So this is a little game that you can play with the students to have them realize how the pH changes. And again, there's a quiz. There's an introduction to the project. You have a boss, you have a desk, you have various testing materials, you have a notebook, and you have to go out into the field and do your job. You will get notices from your boss, letters telling you exactly what to do. There's an in and out box. You can see there's your intro letter, and here's your first assignment. You're working for a Ritzytown community, and you can send letters. There are survey maps. Looks like we got another message coming in. Here is your assignment from a group of concerned citizens that's worried about water resources, the purity of the water resources. Now we have to grab our sample kit and go out to the testing site. And there are a number of different testing sites. In this case, we're going to go here, and we go here, and then we take our survey. Oops, got to click on the sample kit, and we'll take a quick test to see whether or not we have any kind of looks like we got a problem, so we're going to take a sample. We can also take notes and say we were sample A, litmus paper turned red. And anytime we open a notebook, we can get that information. We would then test the rest of the areas. Once we finish with the test site, we'll go back to the office. You can see that we now have a note from our boss saying that we did a good job. And now we need to take those testing samples and go on to the lab, where you can see we're right back to our liquid testing lab, where we'll run tests to see exactly what the pH and what the properties of this particular liquid are. Then we'll send a letter and we'll say what we thought our results were. We can open our notebook if we need to check on information from the site. So there's our letter, and we'll get a result back. Excellent job. Somebody checked our answers, and it turns out that they were correct. If not, could get fired. We'll then have a chance to make some phone calls. We could call the boss. Yep. Boss doesn't tend to be available very often. So I guess we're going to have to call Albert Johnson, ask him some questions. Tried to put up a fence. That's why we couldn't get to all the sites. Looks like there's some problems. And then we can go back and take more samples. After some more investigation, it becomes clear that somebody is polluting the lake. So you need to go and drop some dye, which will help you determine exactly where the pollution is coming from. And in doing so, you have to take your helicopter and drop dye. But they know you're there and they're going to start firing, so you need to clear out all of the areas and drop the dye without dyeing, which this is the easy one. Whoops. And you can try again, or you can just give up and just drop the dye, and you don't want to go through the game. And you can see in this case there's nobody firing at you, so you can clear everything. Later on, we go to Tom's Pond and we take some more tests. In this case, we need to run a titration. And similar situation where we add solution until we get, we can open our notebook and write down some information, whatever it may be. Looks like it's about 85 milliliters. And then we will submit the result. After we take our samples and we do take our titrations, we will then need to do our calculations. And again, we can open our notebook to get our information. We do our calculations and we see whether or not we are correct. If you get the test correct, you can go on. If you do not get them correct, then you will be fired. It'll take you back to the project area and ask you to go back through the tutorials and go back and rerun the tests. As part of your work, you'll need to go to the warehouse and check to see, find stuff that needs to have a sample taken. There are people that you'll probably need to talk to. And you can take some notes about the white residue. And you already took the sample of the white powder. When you're done with the pond information, you will fill out this letter to the boss where you delineate the pond symptoms and recommendations that you have, and then your boss will get back to you as far as what he thought about your results. In this case, with Tom's Pond, you can see that the results were not too good. There's definitely some kind of a problem with Tom's Pond. We'll have to look into it. Students who were fired found it was a little difficult to have to go through all of the steps again. So that's the case, then they have the ability to jump ahead and go right to the area where they left off to continue the project. So the project forces students to take samples, do titrations, do concentration calculations, to back up their data and send all of this information to the boss, and then they will be graded accordingly. So that was a quick overview of the Ritzytown Water Project's Acids and Bases software. At the end, students can print out their scores. They get a score for each of the 4 quizzes, and they also get scored for their results of the final project. If you're interested in learning more about the Ritzytown Water Project software, you can go to Teachers Pay Teachers at that URL. Take care.